Heroes of Fantasy Football Podcast.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the Heroes of Fantasy Football Podcast. I'm your host tonight, Matt High, joined by Chris and Joe. We have a follow-up episode. We're talking about the rookie losers on the draft for this past 2025 NFL draft. Chris, Rich, and I did the winners, so I will link that show in the description below, and I'll also put it probably, I think it goes above Joe's head. So look at Joe, and he'll, direct you there. We had a fun conversation just to end the episode with Rich and myself about the tight end. So that's where I want to start this one here. Since you guys weren't able to attend that conversation, so I want to get your thoughts on the tight ends, because we kind of left it that they don't fit in either the winners or the losers, because there's just a lot going on to unpack there. So let's start with, which one do you think has the highest upside year one, and which one has the highest upside in their over their career? I want to hear from Joe first.
So if I had to pick the tight end that has the highest upside year one, I would have to say I'm probably going to go with Mason Taylor. Out of all the rookie tight ends, Mason Taylor going to the Jets, I think that's the best landing spot of like the tight ends I could see. I think Loveland and Warren are obviously the favorites of tight ends, but I don't think they're immediate. They're going to have immediate fantasy impact year one. You have Warren with Anthony Richardson throwing to him, which is a disaster, and then you have Loveland, who is just buried in the depth chart behind DJ Moore, Dunze. Now you got Burden there, so lots of competition for catches there. Could pan out for either of those guys, but just looking at immediate, I think my favorite tight end to draft is still going to be Warren for long-term dynasty value. But if we're talking initial season winnings, I'm going to have to go with Mason Taylor on the Jets. I think that's the best landing spot for a rookie tight end, and skill-wise. So he's my winner of the tight ends.
I like that. Yeah, we didn't even bring him up, but those are good points. I mean, the Jets typically, Tyler Conklin's the only guy there. And although it's so much fun when he catches the ball and you yell conk conk, it's not going to last forever. So, Chris, what say you about the tight ends?
Yeah. First of all, the position sucks, so who actually cares? Right?
That's true.
Want to get that out of there right now.
That is factual.
Yeah. Who cares? But in all seriousness, Joe's right into a certain extent. I don't know if I'm like over the moon about Mason Taylor specifically. I mean, I get where he's coming from in terms of, being on a team, that have Justin Fields now. Who knows? That could be a thing. Could be great. Who knows? I don't know if I like any of them as like I guess going to Joe's point, Mason Taylor, I maybe this is done with me. Maybe I'm stupid. Okay. Maybe I'm about to get blasted. I don't know if I would count out Tyler Warren as like a year one bust immediately. Because I'll be honest with you, why are we judging it based on only Anthony Richardson? We got Danny Derps right behind him, right? No, but like, yeah, that's tough. I mean, maybe Anthony Richardson resurfaces. I don't like any of it. Okay, I really don't. I would have liked the Colson Loveland pick more if Luther Burden wasn't joining the roster. I don't like really any of it. I'm not a huge fan. So year one, I'm gonna go with like a wash. And I'll agree with Joe here. I think Tyler Warren, just longevity-wise, will have a better career than most of these guys, because no matter what happens, Loveland, his entire career, will likely have to battle against Burden and Dunze. And as the other tight ends within the draft class are not as good as these two, it kind of leads me to think that Tyler Warren, as soon as the Colts figure out the quarterback situation, will kind of leaps and bounds go up ahead.
My one thing with Tyler Warren, now for me, I like, because you could probably get Taylor really late in drafts right now too. So
easily.
He's like a freebie. You look at him end of the second, early third, or probably even later. I don't know what his ADP is currently.
Yeah, I think his ADP is 2.08.
Okay,
The
all right.
2.08?
Yeah,
Am I going crazy? Hold on.
at least
Alright,
according
so
to according
that's
to
not bad.
Draft Sharks. But
Okay. So you're taking a shot there. For me, long term, like Tyler Warren is the guy that I want. He just looks like the real deal. It, I went over in more detail with this in the last episode, so check that out. But for me with him, a lot of the problems that Anthony Richardson had last year was he didn't have anybody reliable in the middle of the field that could, make some mismatches and stuff. Tyler Ward is that dude. So this is basically all chips are in. If Anthony Richardson can't do it with this kid, he ain't doing it at all, and it's done. But I think he's got the potential, and even if it's Daniel Jones, I mean, he just has to find the big open dude in the middle. It ain't that hard, and I think Tyler Warren brings that to an offense. So we'll see how it goes. Colson Loveland, like we said, he's just buried. It's going to be really hard. Cole Kmet is there. He's very serviceable. We've seen that in the past. It really just depends on how much work he's going to get, or if he's going to be used more in the run game, because he had that capability in college, and I expect that to be used heavily in the NFL as well. So, but either way, I think we order it for Dynasty longevity. Warren, probably Taylor Loveland, or is it Warren Loveland Taylor?
In terms of like longevity
Dynasty
wise,
longevity, yeah.
probably I would do Warren first, and I think it's gonna be tough for me to decide the Loveland Taylor debate at the current moment because of just the the disparity or the mismatch, I should say, in their situation. So I'll have them a tied at second for me.
yeah, I'm kind of on the same board. I mean, Warren, obviously the best. I think we can all agree the best tight end in the class, skill wise, and going to a team that ideally would be a good spot if there was anyone else at center throwing him the ball. So,
Yeah.
but I don't think that's going to be that's not going to last forever. You can't judge a player based off of that. So I think Warren's my number one, and I'd probably still put Loveland number two just based off of skill. I know he's buried right now, but who knows what the Bears are going to look like 3 years from now? And hopefully, maybe he'll either be on a new team with better chances, or some of those Bears players will have moved on, and he'll have a more prominent role in the offense.
It's going to be fun watching the Bears this year, man. I mean, new coach, new everything, shiny new toys
We
to play
hope.
with. It's going to be fun.
We hope it's gonna be fun.
Yeah, I mean, we've said
Don't
that in the past,
disappoint
and
us.
it's been like crash and burn, but we'll see. Uh, so why don't we start with the biggest loser of the entire draft? And everyone watching this already knows who we're going to talk about, but Shadur Sanders. Pick 144 in the fifth round to the Browns. Not even the first quarterback they drafted this year. So, I thought that was very surprising that he fell that far. I thought the talent was pretty good. I know a lot of it is the off the field stuff with, the situation with his dad and all the extra stuff that people probably don't want to deal with. It's probably part of the reason why he fell. There's a lot of news coming out now that he just didn't take the draft process seriously, and who knows? We're not in those meetings. We don't know. But obviously, big loser in this draft now gets buried behind a bunch of quarterbacks on the Browns who, sorry, Warren, they're not a very good team right now. So is he going to see the field this year? Is he ever going to see the field? I don't know. Well, does Shador Sanders start this year more than 4 games?
I'm gonna jump in. Okay. First, I'm gonna say maybe with the starting 4 games. Okay. I'm gonna explain what I mean here. I understand the thought process of why people would put him as a fantasy loser in this scenario. I, however, will put in a different sort of perspective because of how low he'll be on the boards, right? Because of the slide that had occurred, right? This is a relatively free pickup, more than likely, in terms of a quarterback, right? For a guy that most of us were saying, I mean, I wasn't like the most enthused. I know most of us weren't like over the moon with Shador Sanders, but definitely still serviceable to a certain extent, right? Uh, I see a world where he wins the quarterback competition in his first year, as long as he, actually grinds. Uh, So that's my thought process. Okay. If he kind of gets in there, does his thing, I think he could see the field for 4 or more games. I think it's possible. Is it a loss on his part? Yeah. Is it a loss in fantasy perspective? I don't know. I think it's too soon to decide that.
What say you, Joe? Shedeur Sanders. How early or how late are you taking him in drafts?
Late,
Or are you?
Not early. Definitely not first round. I'm on the opposite side of the fence. I don't know if he does see the field this year. I mean, I think we all kind of agree that I think the Browns are kind of moving away from Watson. I mean, he's been a huge disappointment since getting there. But then you also have Joe Flacco there, who didn't look too bad playing last season. You also got Kenny Pickett there, who's looked. I might be biased. I think Kenny Pickett's a decent quarterback. Could have a resurgence, such as like Sam Darnold did.
Do you have
That.
Kenny Pickett?
No, don't have Kenny Pickett.
Why are you biased?
I've just always been like a Pickett fan.
Okay.
But
Chris, you know how you like the short running backs?
No,
Joe likes the small hand QBs.
It's coming back.
Oh, you thought that was gone? No way, man. No way.
So I think it's really going to be a battle between Flacco and Pickett for who's starting. And I think if they do go to a rookie quarterback to get a start, we can't forget they drafted Dillon before they drafted Sanders. So I feel like if someone's going to get a chance to play quarterback, you think they would play their quarterback they took earlier in the draft. Just saying. So
yeah, it's just that was every pick was like it's got to be him, right? It's got to be him, and every pick was not him, and you're just like, what is going on? But we'll have to wait and see. I'm not throwing in the towel saying that he's done. I think talent is there. Is what like during when I was reviewing his tape and everything, like he is accurate. I know it's not against great competition that he has all his accuracy metrics on, but accuracy at a quarterback is either you have it or you don't. It's not really something you just like all of a sudden you're like, oh, I'm going 80% passer this year. You build up to it, but he has it, and that's a skill that just comes naturally to him, I think. But we'll see. The Browns are going to be in it for a bit. I expect him to probably be on a second team before he gets a shot. But who knows? The stories yet. I haven't read the script. I don't know if Chris, if you got a copy yet of Shedeur Sanders' script for the NFL and fantasy, but if you did, it would be great if you could share it with us. But,
I will not.
No, okay. So you're just
I have
gonna
it in
hold
front
it.
of me.
Okay, you're just gonna hold it. It's fine. You heard it here. Chris is not a sharer. He didn't learn sharing is caring.
I'm a gatekeeper. I'm gonna gatekeep the whole season.
Okay, we'll see. So we'll just ask Chris questions throughout the year, see if he slips and gives us the answer. Moving on to running back here. There's a couple here that I put in as losers just because it's mainly like the path. They either go to a situation where there's other guys with who knows if they're going to see the field. So the first guy here I want to put in is Devin Neal. He got drafted at pick 184 to the New Orleans Saints. We don't know what's going on with the Saints. You know, they have a new head coach. Kellen Moore is now there. Dennis Allen is gone, so he can no longer drive the bus over Kendre Miller for being injured. Alvin Kamara signed an extension, so he's there. Devin Neal wasn't one of these running backs in this class that I was really enamored with. He looked good. He's going to be a solid running back, it seems, but for fantasy, I just don't know the appeal. So, do you guys think Devin Neal would be closer to a loser in this draft as far as just situation he gets drafted into? Or are you willing to do you see a glimmer of hope that he can maybe one day be the number 2 or maybe even number 1?
Not with Kamara still there. I mean, especially signing that extension. Kamara's going to be the guy as long as he's healthy in there. He's proven he can do it time and time again. You also have Kendre Miller there, barring he stays healthy. Decent player. And now that you got Clyde Edwards-Helaire over there too, who I think him and
I forgot he went there.
Yeah, him and Devin Neal are going to be battling for that. I feel like that third slot behind those two guys. So I could definitely see him as a loser for this landing spot.
Chris, what about you?
As a Kendre Miller owner.
Is Devin Neal
so-
dead to you? He doesn't exist because you don't want him to be on the field.
He is someone I'm looking to pick up in drafts. No, let me. So I'll drop it down. I guess. I'm not too quick to say that he's a full on loser. Right? I think the landing spot is not the greatest. However, I also don't think it's the worst. Kamara, time and time, as Joe was saying, can do it over and over and over, but he is old. He's getting there. Eventually, the wheels are going to come off, right? As we have learned, running backs are in fact not immortal. So there's definitely that. Andre Miller is definitely not immortal. All right, we know that. Devin Neal, I know we have CEH also there. I think there's the drafting of Devin Neal to me is the concession of the Saints saying, okay, listen, if Kendre Miller doesn't work out, we need someone else also in the younger side to be this heir to Alvin Kamara, because I'm sure the Saints also realize that Kamara is not this kind of like end all be all solution. Like I said, he's old. Eventually, he's going to be gone. So with that being said, I wouldn't say full on loser. I think for like now, definitely you're not starting him. But I wouldn't reach. But if he shows up at your end of the third round, or sorry, end of like the second round, and you need like a running back, why not? End of third? Oh, sorry, end of second, beginning of third. I think that's where he's projected to go anyway. I wouldn't reach for this guy, but like if you kind of want to take a chance, go for it. I don't think it'd be egregious.
Speaking of running backs falling to the wayside, we had someone share in our Dynasty football chat the other day. Crazy stat. Todd Gurley is ranked third in total rushing touchdowns since 2015. He hasn't played a game since 2020. So he's gone. And he was amazing. So that goes to show you running backs try to get out early because they usually don't last very long. Derrick Henry is a beast. He's ranked number 1, but Derrick Henry is just not human. He's just a big
He's an anomaly.
ball. Yeah. He's the exception to every rule. So next guy here, I got 2 guys here for the Jaguars. Vishal Tutin, pick 104, and then LaQuint Allen, pick 236, both to the Jaguars. Now, there is a little bit of murkiness in the backfield here. You have Travis Etienne, who I don't expect to be on the team for the full season. I expect them to trade him, get out before they need to pay him. And then there's also Tank Bigsby, who's nothing special, but is serviceable for their needs. Now you have these 2 guys, again, murky backfield. If both of them are gone, meaning Etienne and Tank Bigsby, maybe these guys get a little bit more work. This could be the future, but they were later picks. So, I mean, Vishal Tutin was not too late, but it's still, I don't know. How do you guys see this backfield shaking out? Is there any shot for these guys to see some year 1 action that's usable for fantasy?
I think absolutely. I think Tootin over Allen for sure, based off of just draft capital. But I mean, if you see Etienne go down, of course you do have Tank Bigsby who will step up in that starter role. But you could easily see Tootin be the complementary piece to Tank Bigsby, say Etienne, or Bigsby gets hurt. You could see Tootin step up into that number 2 role. So I'm a little higher on Tootin than I am some of these other guys we're talking about today. So this year, though, say no injury happens, I don't think he's going to see maybe like a touch here and there. Nothing fantasy relevant. You're not putting him in your flex, not putting him in your starting lineup. But one injury happens, and he could be a viable flex option if you need him, or dare I say, even a running back slot. See how he plays.
Chris, I know your hatred for Travis Etienne runs pretty deep too. So we're hitting basically everybody. Chris is just we're going through his hate list on players. So go ahead, safe space.
Yeah.
We don't
So
have degrees
I
in
hate you,
psychology or anything,
Travis.
but you can talk.
Um. So let me. I would have liked Tootin a lot if Allen wasn't picked. Like if Allen wasn't picked, I would be really confused as to why. I would say he's not a loser at all. Allen getting picked, I don't think makes him a loser. Allen is definitely a loser in this scenario, 100% in my mind.
I mean, he was picked to basically. He was about 15 picks away from being an undrafted player.
Right.
So
Right.
I don't think that does too much to Tootin, in my opinion.
No, it doesn't.
Fourth
But
round, they're both still day 3 picks.
It does kind of how it does unfortunately still like provide this extra layer of competition though. That I feel like just I wouldn't want. If I'm like if I'm a fantasy manager and I'm looking at like options, right? I'm wanting to choose the guy that has the most direct path with the least obstacles. And I understand that Allen was barely drafted, but at the end of the day, he's still an obstacle. It's still not great. And of course, we have to talk about, Tank Bigsby, as you said, fine. He's a guy. He exists. Travis Etienne, much to my demise, exists. So yeah, it's a little. I like Tootin as a player. I hope I'm pronouncing that right, by the way. I hope I am.
I don't know if we are, but I'll have to look
Yeah.
at it.
If I'm not, I apologize. But
he doesn't to Travis Etienne. He definitely does not apologize to him or Michael Pittman Jr. I brought him up.
No,
yet.
never. But yeah, it's tough. I don't. Yeah, I same with Joe. If someone gets injured, they'll probably see the play, but they're not going to see the field otherwise, unless like a trade happens with Travis Etienne or something like that. But even then, I think there's a lot of question marks in the backfield. And I think the Jaguars are also kind of going to take it easy with that. I think they are going to solve that problem one at a time. They're going to give whoever the opportunity to kind of test, see where they want to go with it, and eventually they're going to go, and be like, okay, you're our guy. I'm with you, Matt. I think Travis Etienne does not survive the whole season on the Jaguars. I think he gets traded somewhere. So, yeah, I think maybe closer to loser area just based on how many obstacles are kind of there, but very easily could be a winner if some of those barriers are cleared out. I would draft him. I would take the shot on Tootin rather than Devin Neal. I think. Even though even though I sound higher on Devin Neal, I think the path is much easier for Tootin.
Okay. Yeah, I'm looking at his ADP now. He is the 23rd pick, so end of the second round. That's probably where you're gonna want him. I feel like that'd be okay with taking him there, just on the shot that he ends up seeing a little bit more work, or there's a trade that happens or something. But I like him better than Quinn Allen. Obviously, it's a tough situation. Last guy here for the running backs, Dylan Sampson. He was not the first running back drafted to the Browns. That was Quinshawn Judkins. So Dylan Sampson is another guy that during the draft process was starting to get a little bit of steam. It was kind of like hot and cold for amongst the fantasy community and the NFL community as well. I don't know what role he's going to fill. They don't have Nick Chubb. I don't expect them to sign him. So right now it's just Jerome Ford and Quinshawn Judkins, and I think Patrick Taylor is there or something. Again,
Pierre Strong Jr.
Yeah, Pierre. That's what it is. I knew it started with P. Pierre Strong Jr. is there. No one cares. It doesn't matter. So he gets added to this mix. Unclear as far as the role. The draft capital was pretty low, pick 126. I don't know how much upside he's going to have. So for me, I'm hands off. I'm not taking him no matter what his ADP goes. Like if he falls to the third, fourth, I don't care. I'll just let someone else take him because I don't see how it's going to work out, or the investment I make in him. I don't see an angle where at the end in a couple of years I'm like, see, Smart plays, draft him at the 4th round. It's good. My team is a winner. Woo! It's not going to happen. So, Joe, what do you think about Dylan Sampson?
I mean, you obviously don't like drafting guys that had players of the same position drafted in the same class in front of them. I mean, that goes with any of these guys that we're talking about, whether it's quarterback Sanders or uh, this guy Sampson. I mean, it's terrible. You don't want a player drafted. It's like, oh, this guy's better. We're going to draft him first and then draft you. Not saying that Sampson will never be anything. I think it's going to be more. Ford's obviously going to be the starter. He's the veteran. He did pretty well last year. I don't see the Browns jumping ship off him anytime soon. I think Judkins will obviously play that complementary role to Ford, but like I said, one injury away, and then you have Sampson in the mix there. And if he's looking hot, if he has the hot hand, I could honestly see the Browns. We all know the Browns are usually a very run heavy team. So I mean, granted, no Nick Chubb now, but I could easily see Sampson getting some work if Ford or Judkins go down. But until one of them gets hurt, especially say no injury happens, he might get a touch here and there per game, nothing fantasy relevant. But definitely, I wouldn't say don't draft him, but like I'm not spending a high pick on him, like a 4th round, 3rd round, late 3rd maybe. He's just a shot. I'm gonna put him on my taxi. Injury happens, and you might have gold on there. But until that happens, he's just on my taxi.
Yeah, I see the situation potentially being similar to what happened with the Bengals last year, where Zach Moss was the starter, and then all of a sudden, like, he started losing steam, and Chase Brown started creeping up, and that's kind of the way I see. Not with Sampson. I see that with Quinshon Judkins and Jerome Ford. Where Jerome Ford, day one, I don't think there's doubt in anybody's mind he's going to get the first snap at the running back position. But he's not the most efficient running back, so they're going to be looking for, to catch lightning in a bottle. And I think if Judkins starts doing that, he's going to take over. If there's an injury, like Joe said, Sampson could see some work, but don't bank on it. Is that kind of how you feel too, Chris, or are we both nuts?
Nope.
For this reason, I know I'm crazy, but for this reason,
I feel the exact same way.
Okay, that works. Why don't we move on to wide receivers then? All right. So, Luther Burden, pick 39 to the Bears. Joe, go. I don't even know where to begin with this.
I think everyone can agree that it's one of the most disappointing landing spots that he could have gone to. So many other teams. I mean, especially with the Dunes, they just going there last year. So we really didn't want to see more competition there on the Bears. We feel there's already enough competition there. Now you throw Burden into the mix. I mean, if you listen to the Bears talk about why they drafted him, they're like, "Well, did you see him? He's awesome. He's so good." Which we all know, we all agree. Which is why we wanted him to go somewhere where he could be immediately fantasy relevant. Not saying that he's not going to be immediately fantasy relevant. I'm a big Burden fan. I think he's one of the best wide receivers in the class. I just hate the landing spot. We had a we've seen glimpses of Caleb being great, but we need to see it this year with the new coach, the new system, all these new players they brought in. This is the year for Caleb to prove himself. So it's just a lot of pieces. Not excited. I don't think any of us are excited at the landing spot. I'm still a Burden fan. I'd still spend the pick on him. Not a first anymore, especially with the landing spot. But I think for long term value, he's just that type of player where no matter where he is going to do decent. So I think once he proves himself, maybe some of those Bears pieces move on elsewhere. But the draft he was the top 5 to 6 pick for me before this landing spot. Now I have him more as a late first, early second pick for me just because of the landing spot. What about you, Chris?
Yeah, it's a little disappointing.
No.
On a lot of metrics. I feel the same way in terms of like draft capital. I'm definitely like early second sort of category right now. Maybe or like late first if I'm feeling frisky, I mean, I personally drafted Luther Burden with the 203 in a recent Dynasty league that I I was in, right? So take it from me, he was there. Okay, he dropped. Now, granted, there was some other questionable picks that we were talking about before the show. Um, but besides the point, it is disappointing. However, I think I'm looking at the contract here. Sorry, I'm flashbanging my face right now. But I see the contract here for DJ Moore specifically. We're talking about the long term value of Luther Bird in this scenario, and there is a potential out in this contract in 2028 for that season for the Bears, which I know is so far away. I understand that. I'm not saying it's close. I'm just saying that when we speak long term, that's what I'm meaning by long term. Okay, I'm not like 5 years, 6 years, three. You're thinking 3 years out. I'm gonna unflashbang my face now. I'm back.
When DJ Moore gets cut by the Bears in 2028, I will have maybe have a first round pick in our Dynasty league. Maybe. I'm probably gonna sell it as soon as I get it.
Doubtful.
Yeah, I'm probably gonna sell it as soon as I get it. I have a second in 2027.
I honestly am considering trading for it because I think that's how funny it is.
Let's do it. Give me a player. I'll do it. I don't care.
Not only do you not have first round picks in our leagues for many years, but you just recently took on a new team that also does not have first round draft picks.
That is
you just
true.
hate first round draft picks.
We did do
I
that.
hate them. I'm allergic to them.
You are. This guy talks all about all these rookies and then instantaneously just
that's why Matt loves talking about the losers, because these are the players that he might be able to get.
I have a 303 this year. I got the 303.
Oh, wow.
I'm looking to trade it, but I have a 303 right now.
Looking to all right. Anyway, yeah. Luther Burden, guys, maybe down the line, not right now. Sucks to be us who were excited for him. Moving on.
It reminds me of when Zach Charbonnet was drafted to the Seahawks. I was so excited to see him, and he looked so good, and that he was announced as a Seahawk. And I'm like, why? Why are you ruining this for everybody? Could have been so much fun. But here we are. So Luther Burden definitely has the talent. That checks. He just doesn't have the situation. But if you think about it, neither did JSN, and look at JSN now. So, not saying that's exactly what's going to happen, but it's in the realm of outcomes, and he's got the talent. It just depends on how much opportunity he gets and what this offense does. Let's not forget, Ben Johnson was the offensive mastermind on the best offense in football just last year. So, if he brings even a little bit of that over from Detroit into the Bears, it should be good for everybody. But we like to get a little crazy and want more, as humans do. So blame biology, not us. Next guy here is going to be Elik Ayamanor. He was someone I know Joe and I were very, very excited for. I don't know if you are still excited, but I am not. Going to the Tennessee Titans at pick 136. Rookie quarterback typically does not help out any fantasy relevant wide receivers. That's just how it goes, the history of it. I said that with Caleb Williams last year. It just typically doesn't work out that way. Now you also have Calvin Ridley. You got a couple other guys there. It's just, I don't see the upside. I was also lower on Cam Ward, so I'm not a really big believer in Cam Ward translating to the NFL for fantasy. I know you guys are a little bit higher on him, so Chris, why don't you start with you? Potential value, but how much value?
Yeah, I'm not super high on him because of where he has landed, because they're trying to figure out that offense right now, which usually means there will be casualties along the way. And I always find that those casualties are never they're very surprising, I feel like, within that camp. In terms of more prominent offensive sort of names. I also think, and this might be a real shot in the dark, right? They also signed Xavier Restrepo, who I know many of us thought was going to get drafted and then didn't. He kind of just completely went undrafted. They signed him. He obviously played with Cam Ward. I actually think there's a chance that within the next year, probably not this year, but next year, ends up as the wide receiver 1. I don't know why I feel that way. I just do. Um, I'm basing it fully on the feeling of like, they played together already. They have the rapport. They're on a team that is rebuilding. That chemistry goes a long way to kind of instantly gaining some steps in an offense. That could be totally wrong, and I wouldn't be surprised. I mean, if they draft a wide receiver next year, that's out the door, right? But I don't know. Just something to spitball. Yeah, I don't like his placement at all within the Titans. I think there's too many variables that are being rebuilt, including the quarterback, that kind of makes me not the biggest fan of the spot.
Joe, have you faded on the person we loved before the draft?
I mean, day 4 draft capital is like not great. Not great for anyone. Calvin Ridley's obviously going to be the number 1 there. You have Tyler Lockett that they just brought in. I think he's definitely going to be playing on the field. I see him as the number 2, going to be helping his rookie wide receiver. We all know Tyler Lockett can get open, so I think that's going to be a great addition for Cam Ward. I'm hoping that Treylon Burks makes it resurgent.
Yeah,
As
okay.
the
I don't know
Yeah,
if that's
okay.
happening. I think
Yeah,
that
okay.
door was shut
as that
a
number
while ago.
3. Hey, you leave my number 3 draft pick alone. I'm hoping he becomes something that I always believed he could be, but we'll have to see. And then you obviously have and then I think that for that 4th spot or battling for that 3rd spot, besides Treylon Burks, you have Van Jefferson, and then I think Elick, or Elick, however you say it. Yeah, definitely way lower on him now. Especially we all know rookie wide receivers with rookie quarterbacks normally don't translate well. Um, I don't know what Chris. I don't agree with Chris's point where this guy's going to be the new number 1 because he's played with him. Like,
I'm just saying. I'm not saying it's guaranteed. It's just a shot in the dark, and I understand. Listen, if it's wrong, it's wrong, right? I'm not. I'm not
In
gonna
2
say,
years, I'm going to clip this. In 2 years, we're going to
Yeah.
put it in like one of those time capsule things so it pops up on our feed, and we're going to see if Chris is right or wrong.
We'll see.
And then we can publicly
see.
ridicule him. Everyone in the
Wow.
comments, you can go for it. I'll post the video. I'll link
Okay,
it. We'll be
I
good.
guess
You heard it
there
here.
it is. I'm dying on this till now. I should get a shirt. This is Xavier Restrepo or death.
yeah, but
Yes.
short but sweet. Definitely lower now. Don't love the landing spot, and sad.
Yes. Those are the list of our rookie losers for after the NFL draft. We're going to be going through some of the dynasty veterans that won the draft, or maybe not won, but skated by potentially. There were a lot of running backs on my dynasty team that I was very nervous about that luckily made it through mostly unscathed. Wide receivers and everybody. Obviously, there's big quarterback winners as well. So we're going to go through all those and also some guys that kind of now have more competition that might get thrown away very, very shortly. So thank you again for watching and listening to the episode. We really appreciate it. If you could do us a huge, huge, huge favor and like, comment, and subscribe. Really helps us out. We want to bring even more fantasy football content to everybody, and the best way to do that is to support us on the podcast. We have a few sponsors. You can help us out. That's probably the easiest way to do it. Dr. Squatch Soaps, and we have Fanatics. You can get all your gear. Smell great doing it. So go check them out. We will post our links in the description below. I think that's about it, guys. I think we can probably jet out of here, and we'll see everyone on the next episode. So long.
Around.